Here to discuss is Oklahoma Senator and member of the Senate Armed Services Committee, Markwayne Mullin. So, Senator, this is a group in charge of getting aid into Gaza because the IDF is on the march looking for Hamas. What does this do to our money, to our continuing donations to this organization?
Well, we should stop it immediately. The IDF had been telling us from October 7th that the UN employees were involved in this. They said we had proof that vehicles and assets were being used by Hamas. We didn't want to hear it, and I mean that as a whole. We didn't want to hear it, proofs in the pudding. IDF said, we'll show it to you. We continue to show. And that number that you said, over 119 or whatever the number is actually 49% of the UN employees that was working inside of Gaza had direct ties to Hamas, direct ties. That is very alarming. So when we were having aid going in, I was saying this the whole time, the aid was being auctioned off by Hamas. When we were taking aid in for the Gaza citizens, they were actually taking it and selling it to the citizens that they're trying to care about. And at the same time, we were actually funding the war. So our aid was funding their fight.
And right now, there's a big push to say, hey, like Norway came out and said, hey, U.S., I understand you're angry and there's other nations that join the U.S., but this is the only way to get aid to these people. What do you say to that?
They're funding the fight. They are selling the product that's going in. There's a systemic issue going on with UN inside of Gaza. These individuals, they don't care about the citizens. They only care about killing Israelis. Hands down, that's it. So if we can't control the money and they're using it to fund the war, then we should have stopped the flow of it.
So Trump stopped it.
Yes, absolutely.
He stopped it in the third year and fourth year of his administration. So obviously there was some intelligence out there that led him to do that, because you don't really pick up this intelligence when you're working a business or hosting The Apprentice. So they knew about this before the October 7th attack.
I don't think we knew as far as it was going, but we knew there was a problem, and that we have known that for quite some time.
So we also know there's more death, and it's the U.S. again. Ironically, the odds were this was going to happen when you have over 160 attacks and a handful of reprisals. Now we find out that three of our Americans are dead. Dozens more are wounded after this drone attack over in Jordan.
Right.
The president promises a response. He's looking at his options. Are you briefed on this, of what went wrong, and what do you think the response should be?
We haven't got a classified briefing. We got phone calls on it immediately. This happened in Tower 22, which is on the border between Jordan and Syria. Syria. And it happened in Tower 22, right on the border in Jordan. These were a reserve unit that was watching it. We knew that the drone was coming in. We thought it was a U.S. drone. We misidentified it, obviously. We have now 3 dead, over 30 injured. The issue is the response. Since we knew that it was coming in, we also know where it went. The response should be immediate. The problem is we have a weak leader in the White House. This wouldn't happen if Trump would have been put in, because we would immediately respond and they would have known it. But when you try to appease the Iranians, which isn't going to happen, they only believe in peace through strength, not appeasement, then you have an issue. When we have 153 attacks that we haven't responded to, we've only responded to a handful, they're going to continue to fuel this fight. And now they went too far by killing Americans and attacking our base directly. So we should have already responded, but this administration is not geared up for that.
So right now, nobody wants a war in the Middle East, but the enemy has a vote. And what Mike Pompeo said yesterday is, we might not want a war with Iran, but they're at war with us. Do you agree with that?
Mike's 100% right. But we don't have to go to war with them. If we be more aggressive and step up, they believe in strength and they will cower down. They do not want to fight the United States. They're not looking for a fight. If they wanted a fight, they would do it. But they're funding terrorist organizations, Brian. If they wanted a fight, they would use their army, not these terrorist wars, not these proxy wars. They're not looking for this. They're just trying to disrupt. It's propaganda for them. It's the way to say, hey, listen, look at us. We're going after the great snake, which they consider the United States that. And you can't simply go after the Houthis. You can't go after Hamas. You can't go over these terrorist organizations. If you're going to take out the snake, you need to go after the head of it, and the head is Iran.
As you know, real quick, Senator Langford has been working very hard and diligently, and I think it's so wrong to attack him personally if you don't like this border bill.
He does a
great job. Everybody knows it. So he's working with Murphy and Sinema to get something done. They brief you regularly. Your job is to go tell the House how it's going. Right. Do you think there's anything about this bill that has a future in the Republican House?
It's going to be tough. Before Speaker Johnson can bring it to the floor, he has to have the majority of the majority. And right now, I don't believe he has the majority of the majority to even bring the bill to the floor. And it's sad because decisions have been made and the bill hasn't been released. You don't even, how can you say you don't like something if you haven't read it? You need to read it and see what is in it before we start making decisions. But, you know, unfortunately, we've lost some messaging on this.
Right. But it'll be great if you have time to read it. So before they make you vote on it.
Suppose that we're going to have 72 hours to read it, to go through it. For a guy that reads as slow as I do, 70 hours might be a little tough,
You'll
Brian.
be very fast, very intelligent guy. Good luck in New York. I think you'll be the one guy that's going to be okay here. Senator, thanks so
you,
much.
Brian. Appreciate
Good
it.
to
Thanks
see
for
you in
having me on.
person.